Oh yeah. I've been waiting for this one, episode 69. Yeah.
69.
Yes. Haha. Never thought we'd get here. But here we are, episode 69 of
Ain't
the
that
Everything
crazy?
NYJ podcast. Yeah, what's up, Gino? How you doing? Italy Jet.
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm excited about our guest, but also I'm exhausted. Today has just been an exhausting day. What about you, man?
Today it's like a holiday. It's the
Oh
get rid of
yeah.
Tom Brady day. It's the greatest day of all time.
Yeah, that's right. You are one of those
Yeah.
guys that hates him so much, and I get it. I get it.
Yep. Yep. He ruined my childhood. Okay? He's ruined multiple moments for me as a child into my adulthood. Really my whole life.
Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely. But anyway, so before we get into all this, I just wanted to welcome everybody to the Everything NYJ podcast. I am your host, Liam, with my wonderful co host, Gino Italy Jet Pagano. I do a terrible Italian accent. I'll leave that to him. Uh, so, yeah, man, so much to talk about. Aaron Rodgers and Derek Carr, Tom Brady, and, everybody else. It's like this one big, never ending drama soap opera with the New York Jets, man.
I mean, ain't that the truth? And it's just one of those things where now I feel like that when the Super Bowl gets closer, we'll finally know if we're gonna have one of the top quarterbacks or are we gonna go with a mediocre quarterback? I don't really know yet. It's everything is a mystery right now. You know what I
You
mean?
know?
What do you think?
Well,
What do you
the
think?
49ers announced today that they will not be re-signing Jimmy G. What are your thoughts
Right.
on that? You think he has a legit chance at coming here? Do you think he's going to go somewhere else?
You know, I really do think that he is going to go somewhere that's either going to be a rival to the 49ers or rival to the Patriots, or he might go back to the Patriots.
He might go back.
I don't, what? You think so?
He might go back. Yeah. Uh, I don't know. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'll
No, no,
I'll give
no,
my
no. What do you
insight.
think? What do
I'll
you
give
think?
my 2 cents.
I want to know. What do you think?
Well, it just feels like there's like even like with Tom Brady leaving now. I mean, even before that
Yeah.
though, there's just so many teams that need legit quarterbacks. Like it's so hard to find an NFL franchise quarterback. I mean, you could argue the entire NFC South doesn't have a quarterback. I mean, the Buccaneers now
Right.
only have what's it, Trask, uh, Frank Reich with the Panthers. They could definitely have. They'll definitely want to take somebody like a Derek Carr, maybe even a Jimmy G. Bring some competition in for Sam Darnold. The Falcons, the Saints, they don't have quarterbacks. There's a lot of
Yeah.
teams that need quarterbacks. The 49ers, the Raiders. And then what's
And
funny too?
now the Buccaneers.
Yep. Well, yeah, that's why I said the entire NFC South could use a quarterback. And not only that though, it's just like there's always going to be like that one team that you don't expect that needs a quarterback that's going to need a quarterback. Like all of a
Right.
sudden you're going to see, like Chicago, like take like one of the top quarterbacks. It's crazy. That always happens every year. What's up, Vinny? Vinny in the Jets is in the chat. One of our good friends of the show. Is Aaron Rodgers here yet? Not yet. I haven't gone to pick him up yet. I'm on my way. I'll be heading out to Green Bay
He's going to
tomorrow.
the
I'm gonna drive
airport.
him back here. Yeah.
He's going to
No,
the
I'm gonna drive him
airport.
back from Green Bay, and I'm gonna just leave him at MetLife Stadium, and he can do
Oh,
whatever he wants there. Just make
you're
it
going to leave
home.
him at Life Stadium. Wow.
Yeah, I'm gonna kidnap him, pick him up, just drop him off at MetLife, and say, here, this is your new home now. Enjoy.
Wow. I like that. But I have a question
Next.
for you, though. I have a question
Okay.
for you. What do you think about Hackett when it comes to Aaron Rodgers? I mean, Aaron Rodgers did not go to the Broncos because Hackett was there. He was the offense. I mean, he was the head coach. Are you concerned just because he was a head coach there and they had Russell Wilson instead? Do you think it's a concern that now he's an offensive coordinator here with the Jets? Do you think it plays a part, or do you think this is just all talk, or do you really think he's coming? Because if you're a head coach, right, you would think a quarterback would go for that. But he's just an offensive coordinator for the Jets. So would you think that he might still come, or what do you think?
Well,
Because he's just an offensive coordinator now. You know what I mean? He's not a head coach anymore.
Well, there was talk last year that he was considering going to the Broncos, but obviously
Exactly.
the deal didn't go through.
Exactly.
He wasn't
Exactly.
traded. I mean, that's up to Green Bay whether they trade him or not. Like he's still under contract. Like technically, he could still be on the Packers next season. It's just they're looking for the younger option. They're looking to move on from him. Last year they weren't looking to move on from him.
Right.
So I mean, he could kick, scream, and cry all he wants if he wanted to go be with go be under Nathaniel Hackett's regime. If
Right.
Green Bay says no, then it's no. It could still be
Mm.
that way this year. Like Green Bay doesn't have to get rid of him.
Right.
It's just all the
That's
signs
true.
are pointing towards. And it's the rumor time, so all these outlandish takes. He was on Pat McAfee yesterday, and he's like,
True.
I didn't even realize half the stuff that's being said about me.
Exactly. All rumors. It could all be rumors.
But he did. I mean, I think there is some smoke to the fire. There's definitely the
Uh,
talk. They're at least talking about it at
right.
Lambeau.
Right. Right.
Like,
Right. Right. Right.
yeah, like the conversation has at least been had.
Here's the thing, SGT CVO. I maybe that's it. That's the thing about the Broncos, though. The Broncos did have a good defense. They did have a good offense. All they needed was a quarterback away. And the defense was good because they had Chubb. They had a bunch of other guys. I kind of disagree with this. I didn't think they were in a rebuild. I think they were just missing a few pieces, in my personal opinion. We were going through a rebuild, but we're ahead of the rebuild now. So I disagree.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's hard to tell. It
Because
really. I
that
mean, like the way the
because that
offense
whole
plays.
division is good. But
Yeah,
it's proven that Chiefs are still number one. It so sucks. It sucks.
doesn't really bother me. I mean,
Yeah, I
like
know,
I don't
but
I
it's
don't have
still
to
the
deal with it though.
AFC. It's still the AFC. You know what I mean? We still gotta go through those.
Yes.
Go through
Well,
the thing.
you see, what's funny, Gino, is you
What's
have to
up?
deal with Kansas City fans around you. I
Oh
have to
no.
deal
Oh yeah, I
with
know. No, you're
I
right.
have to
You're
deal
right.
with my own city, light the most famous building in New York City lighting up
Oh
my
God,
colors, but
that's right.
wrong team. That's what I have to deal with.
They did it for the Chiefs and they did it for the Eagles. Oh my God, that's right,
Yeah, I
dude.
mean it is what it is.
I mean,
You
I'm
know
with
how you
Mangrove.
fix that?
I'm with
You know how
Mangrove on
you
this
fix
one.
that? You win. Just win.
That's
That could be
correct.
us, and they'll be lining it up for us too, man.
That's
Uh-oh, whatever his name is correcting you. I guess he's Sergeant Sivo. Sivo, okay. See, you called him CVO. It's Sivo.
oh, C. Oh,
Sergeant Sijo.
oh, okay. Sorry about
Sergeant
that.
Sivo. I'm sorry. Wait. Yeah,
Sorry about that.
Sergeant Sivo. Sergeant Sivo. Got it. Okay. Thank you,
My bad.
Sergeant Sivo.
Sorry.
Thank you for correcting me.
I'm not good with abbreviations sometimes, so I apologize.
Yeah, that's all right. So, Aaron Rodgers praised Nathaniel Hackett once again, said he loves him, said that, he's gonna, still remain friends with him even after he's done playing.
Correct.
So, do
Yes.
you think that's gonna help any situations, or what's up, Dark Soldier?
How you doing,
Nice
my
to see
man?
you in the chat.
You know what? I don't. It's tricky, right? Because you got that Sean Payton and Drew Brees friendship, right? Is Brees going to go over and be a quarterback coach with the Broncos, right? You just don't know. But when it comes to Rodgers and Hackett, yeah, I mean they're a great pair, and they do love each other, and they're very good friends. But I don't know if it's like a next stint to work together again. That would be great. That'd be phenomenal. But I'm not really worried about. I mean, who cares if they're friends out of football? Like if they are, they are. They are right. I just want to know the quarterback is going to come now. Like if he's going to come or not. I've heard rumors though that if Rodgers doesn't come, what are they going to do with Jordan Love? I know Jordan Love wants to leave. Would you be open to Jordan Love? I don't want Jordan Love. He's 24 years old. I don't want him. Would you be open to something like that?
Nope, absolutely not.
And that's okay.
He's unproven. If I'm trading for somebody, if I'm giving up draft capital, if I'm
I
giving
agree.
extra money to somebody, I need
I
the known
agree.
commodity.
30
And
plus. 30 plus.
yeah, yeah, yep, absolutely. I mean, like freaking wheel out, I don't know, Namath, roll him out. Just dump him out of his wheelchair and say, here,
You want,
you
oh
know,
really?
yeah, why not? Why
Let's go
not?
get Jim. Let's go get O'Brien. See what he's up to.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Um, there is something that is kind of concerning though.
Okay, what's
So
concerning, bro?
I don't know if you listened to Aaron Rodgers on Pat McAfee yesterday. Uh, he
Clips.
sound
Clips.
once again he was unsure. He gave the typical, "I'm not sure what I'm doing. I haven't thought about it. Right now I'm focused on golf."
Right.
This could drag out until June.
That's what I'm worried about. I want this to be done by the end of February. That's what I
Yeah.
want. And now I can see, but I can see this, Liam. If he's going to drag out until June, which you've said, maybe we go after Carr because the Raiders have to make a decision by the 17th because then they owe him all this money.
15th.
That was the 17th. So the
No,
15th?
it's 3 days after. Yeah. Yep.
Well,
15th.
tomatoes.
Either
15th,
way. Yeah,
17th.
yeah, yeah.
It's still bad. It's still bad. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
that's what I'm saying. It's like, let's say, let's say like the Jets do want to hold out, in hopes of getting Aaron Rodgers. Derek Carr goes elsewhere, and then Aaron Rodgers decide he wants to retire. What do you do then?
I
Because
mean,
it's
you get
weird. It's
Carr.
almost like our plan. I think most of us are saying that Derek Carr is Plan B and Aaron Rodgers is Plan A, but it's almost like our Plan B is ahead of our Plan A.
Yeah.
It's backwards. What do
Yeah.
you do? Do you consider going after somebody else? Do you just sign Mike White? Like, do you continue rolling with Mike White? What do you do?
Yeah. Vinny.
You cry. Yeah, no,
Gotta
you
love
do
Vinny.
cry.
Yeah, we
You do.
cry. You cry. Vinny, here we go.
Liam, he let it slip on McAfee's show that he is playing. Just a question now where he plays. He's not walking away from 10 million, bro. Yeah, that's true. My screen just
That's
went
true.
really dark
That's
again. Hold
true.
on.
That's true. But
What's going
guys,
on here?
I think overall, let's talk to another content creator who's very heavy in the media as well. He does a great job. He's one of my favorites. He's one of my go-tos, and I've been texting him for a while. I consider him a friend now. Boy Green is on the show.
Oh
Boy
boy.
Green, how's it going, my friend?
Favorites, go to flex on the texting. Yes, it's a pleasure after all that love to finally make my first appearance on the show. If I appreciate a gosh darn invite, what the hell took so long? That's my question. Yeah.
Hey,
I'm glad
I
you're able
could
to
say
get
the
you on,
same
man.
thing about you.
Well, touche. That's all I have to say about that. That is a huge touche. I like the cut of your jib, pal. Thanks for having me on, guys. This is great.
Thank you for coming on, man. Definitely pumped for this. So much
As
news to
am
talk
I.
about.
Look at this.
Where do you want
Look
to
at this
start?
background. Look at the green brick wall. Look at the solid fist, like getting ready for a UFC fight on my left, and on the right, like the classic point, almost Joe Namath-ish. I like it. I
Right.
like the poses. Those definitely were taken on the first try. I like that.
No,
Yeah.
they were definitely not
Yeah.
taken on the first try. I love that.
You know what's funny is
love
I didn't even like want to do the pictures, and Gino texted me he's like, "Dude, send pictures," and I'm like,
Wow.
"I'm busy. Send pictures." I'm like, "I'm still busy. I need the picture."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Okay."
Boy Green, it's gonna be
Okay.
this next. It's gonna be this.
Yeah,
next.
that's that. I'm surprised, quite frankly, it wasn't from the get go. But that's all
Mine
right.
might be like this, you know.
I messed up.
Yeah, there you go. The one finger salute. We've gotten that a lot as Jet fans. Yes.
And you know
Yes,
what's
we have.
funny? Sargent even said, "Boy Green, Italy just called you fat." I promise, I did not call you fat.
I thought you were going that. You're
wait.
like, "Yeah, he's very large," and I'm like, "Wait,
Yeah,
where's he going?"
that's what I heard. So big boned, chubby. Has
you're not.
added a little bit of weight ahead of the combine. I'm not really sure that nonetheless. Vinny and the Jets. There we go. Appreciate that,
Yeah.
brother.
I promise, I'm not calling you fat.
Okay, excellent.
He called you
Yes.
fat, dude. I think you got to take this up with him
What
after
a
the
first
show.
impression. What a first impression. Yeah. Yeah, put
Here
your
comes
other
our
foot on the
fat-ass
scale,
guest,
fatty.
Boy
I love
Green.
that. Nice.
Thanks,
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Excellent.
Oh, this is off to a fantastic start. Boy Green
Yeah, thanks,
is
Gino.
on.
He's been wanting to come on for months, and the first thing you do is insult him. That's great.
Yeah.
know.
Okay.
Hey,
Thank you,
Willie.
everybody. I appreciate you. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, here we go. Yeah.
All right. So, Aaron Rodgers
Yeah.
could be holding
Aaron
out
Rodgers.
until at least June. Derek Carr could be going at any minute here. What are your thoughts?
What are your thoughts?
I will push back, and I know that's what a lot of people are saying, but that's why you bring my handsome mug on the show, baby. That's what we do.
Right.
The June
beer.
thing with Aaron Rodgers is a false thing. From everything I've heard, that's all made up nonsense for a couple reasons. First off, number one, in terms of all these designations we talk about, which is the moving number on the contracts, that is not going to be relevant with the Aaron Rodgers thing. That thing is going to go down in terms of decision making. Rodgers waiting till after the Super Bowl, which will be similar timing, obviously, to Derek Carr's contract decision, which is after the Super Bowl as well. So these dominoes are going to start to fall very quickly. So it's not going to take till June. I imagine that decision is coming before the start of the new league year, which, by the way, is March 13th and change. So it's going to come, obviously, what do we got? A month month and change, something like that, a month and a week and a half or something like that. So
yeah, just about.
that decision's coming a lot sooner than June. I want to drop that one right off the top. And then obviously Carr, that one will come almost guaranteed sooner because Rodgers said he won't make his decision until at least after the Super Bowl. He likes, again, the Chiefs and Eagles kind of getting their glory, and Tom Brady, for that matter, apparently getting his own glory before he makes those decisions. So that's going to coincide with Carr. So it seems like Carr domino falls first in terms of cut or trade, and then Rodgers shortly thereafter.
Okay. Would you wait and go and would you wait for Rodgers, or do you immediately go after Derek Carr? Because like there's no guarantee that Aaron Rodgers A plays and B comes to the Jets. And then if you could, I mean, he is. I think it's safe to say he's basically everybody's plan A, and Derek Carr being plan B. But like I had said, just before you came on, it's almost like plan B is before plan A. So if Derek Carr goes elsewhere and then Aaron Rodgers doesn't get traded or goes somewhere else, what do you do then?
See, this is why when I look at the headline of this episode, I see why Liam is before Italy Jet. This is why, for that very question. Okay, you're getting a lot of juice there, and you're asking the pressing question, and the pressing question is exactly that because it's a ticking time bomb. What do you do if you're the Jets? You get one gosh darn whack at the pinata, only one chance, and you have to just pick and then kind of settle for whatever else is going to happen. Because if you pick Derek Carr, then obviously you can't get Rodgers. If you hope to pick Rodgers, then Carr makes his decision. You're like, well, we want Rodgers, and Carr goes, okay, I guess I'm going somewhere else then. And then the Rodgers thing maybe doesn't happen in some form or sense. And then again, the number one thing, and I've been saying this on every show, my own show, other shows. When the music is playing in this game of musical chairs, the Jets have to make sure their ass is in a seat when the music stops. If the music stops, they look around, there's no seat. Oh boy, what the hell are you going to do if you're the gosh darn New York Jets? Zach Wilson and Chris Trevor are the only two quarterbacks under contract. So it's a dangerous game. To me, you ask me my opinion, what would I do? I'm waiting for Aaron Rodgers. To me, he's the difference. Now, again, I'm not trying to crap on Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr is a very good option. He's a very safe option. If we get Derek Carr, I will be giddy as all hell. Like, wow, huge upgrade over what we have. However, I just think Aaron Rodgers takes you to another level. With Aaron Rodgers, the Jets are a championship contender. With Derek Carr, I don't feel as confident in that. I'm not saying it's not possible. Maybe you can use some of your other pieces to build more around Derek Carr, but I think it's fair to say that Aaron Rodgers is a more proven and better quarterback than Derek Carr. So I think it titillates the juices a little bit to be able to potentially get A-Rod in here because that takes you to another stratosphere. Again, Derek Carr, I don't think the world is going to go, oh, well, the Jets are the number one Super Bowl contender. I think there will be a lot more palpable buzz if Aaron Rodgers comes here. So if it was up to me, and again, you only get one whack at the pinata, I'm swinging for Rodgers. He is my number one quarterback target. He's been that way since the end of the offseason. He's still that way now. I've been adamant over the last bunch of weeks and now like month plus that that's the direction I want to go, and I hope that's the direction the Jets want to go. And I've heard a lot of palpable buzz that is the case. Now, Rodgers has to make his own decision in terms of all of these teams that will be interested, but I know the Jets sure as hell will be.
I agree. It's just like you're right. Like we only do get like one whack at the pinata, but it just seems like there's other kids hitting it before us too, which kind of scares me. That pinata could break at any time, and the one holding the bat, the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers. So that's kind of what scares me a little bit. That's all.
You got to risk it to get the biscuit, okay? We can't be pussyfooting around over here, okay? We got to make some decisions. We got to put our big boy pants on. A couple teams may say, well, okay, we're going in that direction. Well, God bless you, because you got to put your gonads on the table and say, well, we're going for Aaron Rodgers, baby. We are swinging for the fences. We got Nathaniel Hackett. They're incredibly tight, and we have all of this juice. And now you got to prove whether or not you got some chutzpah, whether you're willing to do what it takes to get the job done. And from what I've been told earlier today on my show at 5 o'clock, we had Packers insider Peter Bukowski on. He believes there will be a bidding war for Aaron Rodgers, and it will ultimately come down to the New York Jets and the Las Vegas Raiders. And those are the two teams he believes that will be in the bidding war for Aaron Rodgers, and ultimately who's going to blink, because in all honesty, the Raiders have a better pick. I believe there's a 7th overall in the 2023 NFL draft. So technically they can offer better if it's just straight up picks in terms of quality, at least this year. The Jets would have to go over the top and offer Who knows? Corey Davis is a player that apparently Peter Bukowski said he would love on the Packers, and that's someone that would interest the Packers, and they've called the Jets multiple times before to trade for Corey Davis, so he would be an intriguing piece that maybe him plus combination of picks could overwhelm the Raiders' offer. So ultimately, it's going to be a bidding war, and for the Jets and everything I hear, Woody Johnson's aggression and the team's construct, they will not lose this bidding war. We will see if that's true.
Gino, you look like you have a lot to say.
Yeah, remember,
Gino, lay it on me.
Remember, Boy Green, I'm the pretty face. I'm the pretty face.
That's true. Yeah, look at that hair, man. Look at that hair.
Liam is the behind-the-scenes guy.
100%. Look, we're wearing hats. We're wearing hats. That's how not confident
and you got the beard.
In our hair.
And you got the beard. I just got the jewelry.
I do like that.
The jewelry and the and this.
That's right.
That's
yeah, look at that. Look at that bling. Oh, sauce over here. Wow. Look at this show.
Hey, Sylvester Stallone's secret nephew.
There you go. Yes.
Boy Green, what would you give up for Aaron Rodgers if you were the Jets to get over the Raiders? What would you do?
A better question is, what wouldn't I give up to get Aaron Rodgers? I'm willing to do what it takes. There are some Jet fans that are out there, and I'm going to be straight up. I'm calling you out. I'm calling each and every one of you out that's out there in the audience that goes, I don't know if I want to give up 2 first. Well, okay, I'll give you this. I don't know if I want to suck anymore, okay? And I'm willing to do what it takes to not suck. You want to know? Aaron Rodgers, still pretty good. Everyone says, well, his numbers weren't that great last year. Do you want to know something? His stats last year would be top 5 in every major single season category for the Jets in history. His bad season. Bad season is a relative term. Aaron Rodgers has set this incredibly high standard, this incredibly high bar of greatness that when all of a sudden he's not as great as that, we all go, I guess he's not as good. Well, certainly comparing to the Jets crap, he is excellent. And I still see the arm. You see it in occasions. I saw it on the Christmas game, Packers, Dolphins, and he unleashes this beauty to Mercedes Lewis down the left hash. And I'm like, oh, baby, he's got it. And there you just see sprinkles. And obviously the Packers were a friggin' disaster, injuries and all kinds of implosion all over the place. And Aaron Rodgers had a broken finger, so throwing the football was a little bit more difficult. So to me, I still think he's got plenty of gas left in the tank, and I'm willing to do what it takes. Now, a lot of offers have been thrown out there. The one that I've heard and the one that I'd be willing to do, I try to negotiate down, but if there is this bidding war, as we heard today on my show, then okay, I'm willing to pay it. It's 2 first-round picks, and then potentially the Corey Davis, as we just discussed, as another player to potentially throw in the mix there. But 2 first and Corey Davis, where do I sign up? I'll pack his bags. I will drive him to the airport, and let's make this baby happen right here, right now. So 2 first plus, which Corey Davis, a mid-round pick, whatever it takes. Some people say, well, he's 39 years old. And I'm like, well, I'm 29 years old, and I am getting closer to death every single day. I want to win a Super Bowl right now. And with Aaron Rodgers, you have a chance to do that. With this crud of crap of keeping your picks and saying, well, maybe we'll get Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett does not titillate my testicles, okay? That doesn't do enough for me. That doesn't rev my gosh darn engine. So I'm willing to do what it takes. 2 first plus is where I'm willing to go. Again, in a perfect world, I think we're all on the same page. You want to give up the least amount possible to get Aaron Rodgers. So if you can offer less than that and you get him, great. This is spectacular. But in my world, I am willing to go that far to do it. And again, as Woody Johnson has said, they want to be aggressive. The front office regime, who may philosophically want to play things close, like Joe Douglas, like time, patience, Robert Sauer, time, patience. Well, you don't have any time or patience. You will be unemployed with the rest of us next year if you don't win now. So I think that aggression from Woody Johnson and then the urgency from the regime is going to cause the Jets to do whatever it takes to land Aaron Rodgers if and when he becomes available. And there has been discussions that he can be made available.
Man, I agree with everything you're saying. I want another one of these. I want to win so bad. Yeah, I'm 30 years old and I'm ready. I understand. I would do the same thing what you just said, because we're a team that's ahead of the rebuild.
Baby. Super Bowl 3, baby. Boom.
There you go.
I have a candle.
Yeah, look at that.
Layton's got a
I have a candle.
I even have a Super Bowl replica trophy somewhere too.
Hopefully, he starts paying you more behind the scenes. You need a bigger budget there, Liam.
You know what's funny? It's fine. I started the show, and somehow I became like the behind the scenes guy.
Right.
Yeah. Tough world out there. It's a tough economy.
It is.
Like, here's the thing. It's like I gave Mike White my ribs during the season. Fingerly Jet said he's going to give up his least favorite kids. I might have to give up my testicle. I don't know. Whatever I have to give up to get Aaron Rodgers, I'm doing it. Like, he wants my mom. Go ahead. Like,
there you go.
You know, seriously.
What a guy. Yes.
Yeah.
I love that.
I mean, it's getting ridiculous. I don't think it's going to take more. I mean, if it becomes between 2 and 3 first rounder, I'll give the 3 first rounders. I really don't care at this point. The picks
Sure.
are a crapshoot. I want the known commodity,
Yes.
and we've had what 16 first round picks since 2012.
Yeah.
I can maybe name 5 off the top of my head, and that's recent memory. There's so many of them I don't even remember, and I was old enough to remember. It's just they were just complete busts, complete fails. Give me the known guy. That just we need to be like you said. Put the big boy pants on. Be the adults in the room. Go out and get your guy. It
And
doesn't make
shout out
sense
to
to
Dom
trade for.
C. I
Yeah.
just saw his comment pop up. I know he's down there at the Senior Bowl. So Green Bean's been telling me great
Yep.
things. Green Bean finally
Yeah.
got down there. Him and Connor
Did he?
Hughes. Beautiful. Saw that on Twitter. So
Yeah,
who would have thought?
Who would have thought after all those years?
Yeah, Paul
Look at
Rudd.
that.
Who would have thought? Look at you and me. Look where we are. That's beautiful.
Right.
So shout out to Dom C and Green Bean, all those great guys at the Senior Bowl for sure.
Definitely.
Neck is feeling. He's had to sleep in an airport last night.
I know. Yeah, I was with him on his stream last night. I was like, you poor bastard. You had to sleep there. The Atlanta airport's nice. It's massive, but I had never had to sleep at the Atlanta airport. So different strokes, I suppose. Different strokes.
Yeah.
Definitely. Now, I know we're still talking about Aaron Rodgers. Do you like what the Jets have done with the O-line position in Keith Carter? Because I know bringing Hackett is a step up. All these rumors of getting the quarterback position. Do you think it's a step up that the Jets got Keith Carter and him playing with the running back room as well?
It's a great question, and I don't think we will know that officially for some time now. Hype and Pub, I have an interview dropping tomorrow. I spoke with Mike Herndon, who works with Paul Kaharski's website. He's a big-time Tennessee Titans guy down there, and we have a full breakdown dropping tomorrow on Keith Carter and some cool stories on him. And there's a lot to like. Again, what he was able to get out of Derrick Henry to what he could get out of Breece Hall.
Exactly.
Mike Herndon on my podcast, and this will be a juicy nugget. I'll definitely share this clip separate from the interview. And here's an exclusive. No one's heard this yet because the interview hasn't been released. But he believes Breece Hall with Keith Carter's direction can rush for over 1,800 yards next year. And 1,800 yards. It's nearly 2,000. I mean, that would, the league leader in rushing was like Josh Jacobs this year were like 1,600 or something. So, I mean, he believes that he could be among the league leading rushers with Keith Carter. Again, the scheme is beautiful. Buffalo Jet fan. I'll be on his stream at 9:00. So we have that also coming up. But yeah, he's what he can potentially unlock from Breece Hall is really interesting. Now, from what I've heard about Keith Carter, first off, he's got a relationship with Robert Saleh. They won a Super Bowl together in Seattle. They were on that staff together for 2 years over a decade ago. But from what I've heard, and this is a quote from Mike Herndon, Keith Carter, quote, is a dick. So there you are. He is a dictator-like military, in-your-face guy, intense yelling. And that apparently rubbed a lot of the Tennessee Titans players the wrong way because he came up and, was first introduced, I believe it was in 2018. And when he came into that first training camp, it rubbed a lot of times the wrong way when he started calling people out. And one of the first people he called out was Taylor Lewan, who was just handed the richest contract in NFL history at that time. And he told him to redo a drill because he didn't like his lackluster effort in the drill. And Taylor Lewan kind of looked at him sideways like, okay. And then they had this kind of tete-a-tete. So it's just interesting that he may rub people the wrong way. He is not Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh has admitted at press conference that he's not a yelling guy. He's not a guy that yanks people's face mask and rips them a new one. He said that's not his style, but it's interesting that a guy that he knows, obviously, they work together, that he's bringing in a guy that will be willing to do that, and how that meshes will be interesting in terms of the conflicting coaching style. So, to be honest, it's going to be hard to answer that now because John Benton came in with a great reputation coming from San Francisco. He resurrected Laken Tomlinson's career. Obviously, you had the DUI incident, which was very murky over the offseason. And in general, there was obviously a lot of offensive line injuries, more than anyone could count. Dwayne Brown, Max Mitchell on IR twice, Mekhi Becton, among so many, Elijah Vera Tucker, obviously, and so many others. We'll miss others. So it will be interesting to see. And GVH, 100%, that's the question I asked on the interview.
Yeah,
100%. With a drill sergeant coming in, that's how he was described by my Titans insider. It's like, damn, how is Mekhi Becton? Now, as Mike Herndon said, who's my Titans insider on the show, he said he does not respond well to that. When he played football back in high school, when people gave him that, he responded very differently. To me, I'm born and raised in a military family. I loved when a coach grabbed me on the face mask and told me I was a piece of garbage and I can't believe you blew that block over there. And to me, that helped me like, oh man, I got to get on my crap. It lit a fire under my ass to make sure I was even more ready for whatever play or anything I missed. So again, different strokes, different folks, but it will be interesting to see that because apparently Keith Carter is not a guy that to Liam, he's a drill sergeant, and then to Italy, he's like, he's whatever. He is the same guy to everybody, and that's apparently what rubbed Taylor Lewan the wrong way because he thinks some people need this and some people need that. And he said, I wish I had a pat on the back every once in a while. So some interesting stuff there in totality. Interesting guy. Again, the full interview will drop tomorrow. I think I'll drop that at 8:30 tomorrow morning on our channel, so you guys could check that out. But yeah, Keith Carter, again, a guy not a lot of people know about, drill sergeant guy, really good. He's a badass coach. I'll tell you that. Right. He is coming in and he knows what he's doing. Robert Shaw called it a quote unquote home run hire, and for good reason. He's got the resume. It's impressive. What he did with Tennessee is impressive. I know they had Derrick Henry too, but he was a part of that success. So home run hire, really good. That's how Solid described it, and I think it's going to be a really good fit, especially it brings that same wide zone scheme that we were talking about before. So seamless transition for a guy like Breece Hall, and I'm looking forward to kind of what he can unlock in 2023.
I'm excited for that because it's about time that we have a coach that holds somebody accountable. We haven't had a coach do that really since Rex Ryan. I mean, the players ran the locker room, Todd Bowles, Adam Gase. They're even kind of doing it with Saleh. And the perfect example of this was that Thursday night game. I was there, and that was a must-win game. Your season's on the line. Your playoffs are on the line. And you have guys like Quincy Williams coming out dressed as the Grinch. It's like, at some point, you can't just be everybody's best friend. Like, I understand, like, you want to be the cool guy, and, it's not 1990 anymore. You don't have guys like Bill Cowher, like, screaming in your face, scaring you. But at some point, you need to be like, listen, like, I'm not your best friend. I am your coach. I want to play. I'm playing for my job. Yeah. Robert Saleh is on the hot seat this year. After starting off 7-4, after starting off 7-4, you don't get to go 1-6 after the bye. You don't get to do that. That's not acceptable.
100%. By the way, just answering Sargent's question. No, go ahead and finish, Liam. Sorry.
Like what I was, it's just. At some point, there has to be some accountability. There has to be a head coach, the adult in the room, to be like, somebody has to tell these young guys that this is not acceptable. And what it does is that sets the tone for a guy. I mean, I'm not knocking any of these players, but that sets the tone for a Garrett Wilson, a Sauce Gardner, something like that. That's something that I praise Joe Douglas for, because with Jamal Adams, that was setting a precedent that, hey, if I kick and scream, I can get anything I want. Where Joe Douglas goes, no. He goes, we're not tolerating that here. You're out the door. Which is why it seems like Joe Douglas signed a lot of those college captains, those high class players.
Yep.
So I think that this is going to keep those guys in line, and sometimes that's what they need. Like the players, they do run the NFL, but sometimes they do have to be put in their place as well.
100%. So I think it will be an interesting mesh and one that I think fits very well. To circle back to Sergeant CVO here, father was in the Navy for 20 years. My brother was in the Marines, and my uncle in the Army. And by the way, fun fact, I've told this story a few times, but I shouldn't be here right now. I should be somewhere overseas. I was supposed to be in the Army myself. I was ready to set out to old Paradise Island in South Carolina. I was a sergeant in JROTC. And we moved up here to New York, and they didn't have JROTC, and all of a sudden I got into sports broadcasting and everything else. So it's funny how the life works, the world works, but I've got a great respect and a great I hold our armed forces in high regard, as we've done great charity work with the Wounded Warrior Project over the last 5 or 6 years through our NFL charity. So 100%, absolutely. That made me the man I am today, no question.
Man, that's amazing, awesome. Man. I like that. I was down at Paris Island not too long ago. Actually, one of my friends just graduated boot camp.
So that was awesome. Yeah, it's intense. It's intense.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And humid down there.
Yeah. No, I was one time I was down there in January. I was freezing down there. It was like
really?
30 degrees. I was so cold, dude. It was probably like the one cold day in South Carolina in years.
I was about to say, are different versions of cold. I was from down south for a long time, and thank you and appreciate it both to all my members of my family and everyone else. Again,
thank your family, man, for Thank you, guys.
100%. That's what makes all of us doing this
Facts.
podcast right now possible. We wouldn't have that freedom otherwise. So 100%,
Absolutely.
Vinny. Thank you. Thank you for the comment. So yeah, but it totally changed the perception. I was born in Virginia on a naval base, and then I've been down south for most of my life before I came up here to New York. So 100%. I don't miss the humidity, but I do miss the very light winters. I definitely miss that. That's for sure.
Man, that's awesome.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you for your service. Thank you for your family for your service. I have family that was in the military as well, so it's a very big thing over here, and I know it's a very big thing for you. So appreciate that. If you had to pick a wide receivers coach, because I know Austin is suspended right now, who would you bring in to mesh with this offense to get the best out of Garrett Wilson, Moore, Barrios, and even people coming in?
It's a great question because obviously the Jets, they were going to retain Miles Austin initially despite the gambling stuff, but especially after switching around the offensive staff, now Nathaniel Hackett is in. He will have the power to fire some of the guys that were left over. Again, Rob Calabrese, he's hanging in the mix as Nathaniel Hackett makes some decision on the rest of his staff. And there's like Ron Middleton, obviously, as well. So we will see. Saleh kept those guys because in a perfect world, he'd like to keep those guys on the staff, but Hackett will have full reign to make any additional changes he wants if he wants to, quote unquote, bring his own guys in. So there's a bit of a twist here of like to the question, is Hackett just going to go deep into his coaching roots and pull a wide receivers coach from that perspective or anyone that ultimately gets replaced? Again, if Calabrese, they end up moving on from him, which I would probably do of my own accord. But in terms of wide receiver coach, one I would love to see. I don't know if he's up for it. I don't know if he has any interest in it. Lavernius Coles, one of my favorite New York Jets of all time. I know he does a lot of great podcast work with the 33rd team, and he's around the team. He is a guy, and I love former players getting those ops. Miles Austin, obviously, is a great example. My dad's a diehard Dallas Cowboys fan. I knew Miles Austin well from his time there with the Cowboys, and how he carved out a wonderful career for himself. And again, players, I think receivers or any position for that matter, they have a greater respect. Not that they don't have respect for any coach, but they have a greater respect for a guy that's literally been between the lines, and they know exactly the ups and downs that players go through. So it's cool to get a Miles Austin, and in this case, potentially a Lavernius Coles. He's one I would kick the tires. Wayne Corbett obviously could be another one, but he seems pretty busy with a lot of his outside football ventures. But Lavernius, even less so from what I've heard and seen. He'd be an interesting guy. I don't know if he'd be interested in it himself, but that's something I would certainly explore for LC. I love Lavernius.
Would you consider Chad Ochocinco? He's openly said that he wants to come coach the Jets.
He did. I guess the only potential rub is he's been such a fan of Zach Wilson, and you can be a fan of whoever you want. Obviously, we all have different jobs, and then we come on here and say and do whatever we want. Just because we say or do whatever here doesn't necessarily affect the other side. So just because he's a fan of Zach Wilson doesn't mean if they go out and get a quarterback, he's going to, throw a stink as a coach. But no, I love Ocho Cinco, the artist formerly known as Chad Johnson. I love him. I think he's a great technician. That's what I remember from his career. TJ Hushmanzada, or as we used to say, TJ Hush your mama. Like, he was phenomenal. Yeah. That pair, his ability to relate with people. Again, he doesn't get enough credit. Everyone talks about the gimmicks and stuff with Chad, but again, in terms of pure route running footwork, he's one of the best of all time. I mean, he is such a student of the game. I love Chad Johnson. I know, again, everyone hears the blah, 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 and I love the players that talk the talk and walk the walk, but he's a guy that 100% I'd be open to. And we would see, I would have to dive deeper off the top of my head. I'm not sure if he has any direct correlation to any member of the staff, but that's not necessary sometimes for prerequisites. Brian Dable grabbed a few people he had never met before and joined his staff, and that ended up working out. So it's not always a prerequisite to have those direct correlations, but that's something that I have to look into. But in terms of me, hell yeah, let's bring Chad Johnson up here. I'd be willing to give him the bag to come up here. That's for sure.
I think the only person I would love it. I'm sure Gino would love it. The only person that wouldn't love it would probably be Darrelle Revis.
Yeah. I see they continue to have beef, which, by the way, is just fantastic.
I love it.
I absolutely love that they continue this because, again, we all remember the AFC Championship games in the back-to-back years where Revis and Chad were going back and forth. And again, that was definitely the first run. The first run where The Jets played the Bengals in week 16 and then the wild card round. So they had to beat them to punch their ticket in and then play them again. But it went from New York to Cincinnati. I mean, the atmosphere of that home game was intense to punch your own ticket in. And then to give them the business the next week, the Dustin Keller touchdown, the Revis pick. I mean, there's so many great moments. From that game, 100%. So I remember all those good times, and I love that they're still so competitive, that fire is bursting at the seams even now. That's amazing.
Oh, man,
that was actually the last game at the Meadowlands, too. That was the last
I didn't even think about that. But yes, because obviously all the road playoff games for both of those years were on the road. So, 100%. Wow, I didn't even think about that. Wow.
Man.
It's funny too. It's getting like so petty, like Chad Ochocinco called Revis ugly yesterday.
Good. Yeah, I
so
saw
petty.
Revis was like calling out like his attire or Chad initially called him out, so he went back at him again. It's fantastic. Revis, by the way, just to address the elephant in the room, he is 100% and should be and will be a first ballot Hall of Famer as he belongs. One of the greatest corners of all time, if not the greatest cover corner of all time. And I really hope that he goes along right with Joe Klecko, which seems to be a formality, but as we know as Jet fans, nothing's a formality until it's actually a thing. But to see Joe Klecko, Darrelle Revis go in, I'm looking forward to being at the Pro Football Hall of Fame for the first time ever for that. Pepperidge Farm remembers. So that would be amazing. So I'm looking forward to that. That would be spectacular. And I hope so. Both are deserving. And then the Jets, in theory, would play in that Hall of Fame game too. Could be a very special weekend in Canton in August.
I agree. And it's well deserved, and we should, especially with Revis and Klecko. Long overdue for Klecko. I'm happy for him. I hope he gets in. Overall, I'm going to go to the draft now. I know it's, a little ways away, but I know things are going on this weekend out there.
Yes.
Name 3 guys that you would want in the first round if, the Rodgers, thing pans out or whatever. But who is 3 guys that you would want in the draft if you can get one of them?
Okay. And yes, the Senior Bowl, which, by the way, I would have been at for the first time this year down there in Mobile, Alabama. The daughter turned 1 within this time frame, and it was getting too crazy to line everything up. So I went, I would have loved to be that. Obviously, last year with the Jets, actually being a part of the coaching staff for the first time in a long time. That would have been cool, too. So that's another bucket list item to check down the road. That's,
happy birthday to the daughter.
That's what I was about to say. Birthday to the daughter. Yep.
That's amazing. Yeah, it was a little wild. I've never experienced a 1-year birthday party before, but that's one for the ages. That's for certain. And if you wouldn't have given that caveat, none of that. But if you didn't give that caveat, like who are 3 players you'd want with that first round pick? I was about to say Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson, and Derek Carr. Those would be the 3 with the pick. Although I don't think Derek Carr will actually take it first. But in terms of that, 3 for the first round. Okay. Well, I'll try to flip positions because I think it's a little bit too easy to just go offensive lineman, like Peter Skoronski or Paris Johnson or Broderick Jones or the top offensive lineman. You could pick any one of those, and that would make sense. Again, continuing to invest in the trenches would be important. So insert any one of those guys as one of my 3. And again, we could go whatever in terms of arguing about who is where and when. I think a lot is going to be unfolded here with the draft process. And number 2, and this is a tweet I'll probably be sending out tomorrow. It's saved in the drafts, but off the Badlands podcast, Brian Brzee, the Clemson interior defensive lineman. I know Jet fans roll their eyes when they hear interior defensive lineman first round, but to be honest, when you really look at the group, it's a little bit of a mirage. It's an oasis to a point, because when you really look in there at the group, you have Quinnen Williams, but everyone else is a free agent. Sheldon Rankins is a free agent. Nathan Shepard is a free agent. Yes. When you look, and Solomon Thomas is the other one. So all the interior defensive line depth not named Quinnen Williams is gone, and you have to pay Quinnen too. So I think interior defensive line is one that we don't talk enough about. There's some guys that have positional versibility. Michael Clemens can play inside. John Franklin Myers can play inside, and Huff can too. But mostly I imagine Huff on the outside, and then you try to figure out some of those interior pieces. I think having true interior guys is going to help. So Brian Brzee, who's kind of a polarizing guy, during the season he seemed like a lock to be like a top 15, top 10 pick. But both in Daniel Jeremiah's and Mel Kiper's mock draft, he didn't appear at all in Mel Kiper's first-round mock. And then Daniel Jeremiah's, I think he was like 31 or something. So there's some polarizing opinions on Brian Brzee coming out of Clemson. from certain people. And then the third one, I saw that one out there, Jackson Smith and Jigba, the Ohio State wide receiver, former teammate of Garrett Wilson. How could you not throw him into the mix? I know it may be overkill. I know it may be overkill at wide receiver, but I don't give a flying hoot, baby. Give me all the weapons in the world and let's just go score a bunch of points, because the Jets had a really good defense last year, a lot of really talented pieces, but if you're just going to add more, wide receiver is a sneaky need, because, again, you have Garrett Wilson, who's a stud. I think Elijah Moore is really going to bounce back this year, but, again, coming off last year, I would understand if you have questions. And Corey Davis could be traded, cut, moved. There's all kinds of things that could happen there, so there could be a hole there. And then you figure it out. I get it. And Jigba plays the slot. Elijah Moore technically was moved to the slot, but that's for the offensive coordinators to figure out. Give me talent. And Jackson Smith and Jigba, coming off a troubling year in terms of injuries, a hamstring injury that bothered him all year. He wasn't able to contribute. But look at that tape from 2021, the year would be, where he had 1,600 yards or 300 yards in the Rose Bowl. Like, man, that's a guy that can cook, and I'm all about adding talent to the offense. So imagine Garrett Wilson and Jackson Smith and Jigba reunited. That'd be beautiful. So if I had to pick three, again, offensive lineman, top tackle, whoever would be on the board. Brian Brzee, I think, is an interesting one. Interior defensive line, and then hell, baby, give me some wide receiver love.
I love that.
I love it.
Oh my gosh, I love it. That you literally read my mind, because I really want that wide receiver duo back. I think that would be really cool, especially adding Jeremy Ruckert into the
sure. You hope so,
too.
Right?
Yeah. And so my other question is for you. I'm going to go more of the defense now. What do you think is the number one priority, besides getting an O-lineman, of course, and besides the QB? What is the number one priority to upgrade the defense to get a free agent like that?
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. That's a tough question. My gut would probably go to linebacker, just because of the volatility there. You have CJ Mosley, and you got to figure out something with the contract. Is it a mini extension? Is it a straight up pay cut? Does a Pro Bowl all-pro player want to take a straight up pay cut? Probably not. So that makes the negotiation. Everyone says, hey, take a pay cut. Well, why the hell would I take a pay cut? Look at my last season. So it could get a little squawky there, where he goes tells the Jets, go kick rocks. And by the way, if I was him, I would too. Why the hell would I take a pay cut after that? So maybe an extension is the correct answer, and you could spread money and move things around, because, quite frankly, he played at a really good level. Caught in a couple of spots, especially in the receiving game, where he was caught off guard and he looked really bad in terms of coverage. But I thought overall, team leader, glue guy, really liked that. But his running mates, the two starters in their 4-3 scheme, well, both are free agents. Quan's a free agent. Quincy's a free agent. Quan was healthy for the first time since, I believe it was 2016. It was back in his Tampa Bay days, so he played a whole season. Part of that was a complete change of his diet. We talked about that with Connor Hughes last offseason, some insight on that. And so that worked. And then Quincy. But Quincy is the brother of Quinnen, who you're also negotiating a contract with this offseason. So if you kick Quincy to the curb, that could rub Quinnen the wrong way. So that's almost a secondary thought when you're talking to these guys. And by the way, I love Quincy. I don't think he's just some scrub that's Quinnen's brother. Right. I think he's a really talented, athletic piece that I would invest in. But what is that money? Also, again, a conflicting point. I've talked to some people that believe he's going to be a hot commodity on the market, and he may get out of the Jets' price range. That's what I heard from one source. Another person said, oh, heck no. Secondary linebackers, because, again, he's not in the class of Fred Warner and all these others. He's just going to get lost in free agency, and he won't get a good deal, and he'll come back to the Jets on the cheap. So I've heard two conflicting reports on that. We're going to have to kind of see how it plays out, I suppose. But linebackers, critically important. Robert Saleh has a history as a linebacker whisperer of getting the most out of, cheaper groceries, so to speak, cheaper ingredients. He doesn't seem to invest like high picks or first-round picks or things of that nature at linebacker. So it kind of makes chicken salad out of chicken, what. So it'd be interesting to see if they're willing to throw a lot of that moolah at that position. But that's one of the most volatile. We mentioned interior defensive line, but one of the volatility may be at linebacker. Obviously, the other is safety. The Jets cut Jordan Whitehead. If you cut him, you also have to replace him, and LaMarcus Joyner, who's a free agent as well. So linebacker and safety are the big ones, but the biggest one to me, circled in large permanent marker, is certainly there at linebacker. What are the other options next to CJ Mosley? You need speed.
I like it. I like it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
So with that being said, the Jets currently are $2 million over the cap.
Yes.
How would you? I mean, I kind of think that the cap is really just a myth. I feel like you could get any player you want, really, but how would you maybe get some money? Like how would you
Yeah.
reimburse? I guess would be like the right way to put it. Do you get rid of somebody like a Corey Davis or Braxton Berrios or what do you do there? How do you get the Jets back underneath the cap?
Absolutely. Let's go. A couple weeks ago, I joined Will Parkinson's podcast, and when we were
I
kind
saw
of
that.
playing this sort of game, he said, "What are you going to do with Corey Davis?" And I had this passionate bite about how they need to cut his ass and throw him out of the building. After further thought, I believe you don't have to cut him anymore. I believe you could trade him. I strongly believe that in a
Yeah.
weak ass free agent wide receiver class, why give anyone anything for free? Corey Davis is not making crazy money, around 10.5, 11 mil plus the jet cap. So he's making like nothing. It's a third of the highest paid wide receiver in football makes 30 million. Corey Davis is making, as I said, the 10.5, 11 million. We're talking about a third of the price tag of Tyreek Hill. So he's not being paid like a number one. He isn't a number one. But why just release what would probably be the best wide receiver on the market for free so other teams can bid over? You have control. You have him under contract. If you trade him, you could save all the same amount of money that you could if you straight up cut him. I believe there will be enough interest. We talked to my Tennessee Titans insider. Like I said, that interview drops tomorrow. We were talking on air, almost negotiating what it would take, and he'd be willing to give a day 3 pick for Corey Davis in that, potentially 4th or 5th round. To me, you save all the money by trading him. You get a 4th or 5th round pick and find a cheaper alternative. Braxton Berrios could be a guy that you could move on from. That would be very interesting. One that's tough, and I love the player. I loved him when the Jets signed him, but it's a results-oriented business, and the cap is a cap. Carl Lawson, he's a guy that you could move on from with minimal dead cap, $330,000 and change, but you'd save over $15 million. Like, he's a guy that, on one hand, had 7 sacks this year. That's the most sacks he's had since 2017. Good. Wow. Okay. But not the double-digit sack guy you signed when you signed into a 3-year deal for $45 million. So I could understand if the Jets brought him back on a reduced number. Again, the same kind of thing as we were talking about with C.J. Mosley, and he's a younger player, obviously, than C.J. Mosley. Do you give him a mini extension to lower the cap hit for this year so you can add a quarterback and spread it out? Maybe you do that, and then incentive late in the back half of the contract with sacks and pressures and numbers like that. That'd be interesting because on one hand, if they just straight up move on and save the money, which could be possible, screw the restructure, screw this. Also, a trade is possible. Zach Rosenblatt joined my show last week and said he could see a Calais Campbell deal again, same thing in that 5th round range. That's what he went for a couple of years ago. You save money and get draft picks, which I'm sure would titillate Joe Douglas if that happened. The other thing that excites me more than the money saved or even the draft pick you could get is the reps going to Jermaine Johnson, the reps going to Bryce Huff, the reps going to Michael Clemens, the reps going to JFM. I know they rotate, and I'm all for the rotation. They stuck by their principles, and the results paid off for themselves as we got deeper in the season. However, I'm excited about the reps going to some of these guys. Jermaine looked great in his limited reps. I know he got hurt in the middle of the year too. But Bryce Huff, it's inexcusable. He didn't get the reps necessary. So if they just decided, hey, we're just cutting Carl Lawson again, I love the player, loved the guy. I hope the best for him. He's a really cool dude. But sometimes you just got to make football decisions. It's not how you feel about the people. And if they did that, they'd save a ton of money, which seems hard to ignore considering the quarterback they're going to bring in is going to cost a pretty penny. And then you give those reps to younger guys. So to me, in a perfect world, you restructure him, some sort of mini extension, but he seems like a likely cap guy. And if we're talking about that, all of a sudden, with my wave of a magic wand, we just created like $35 million, and we haven't even really tried yet. Those are just some surface level guys, not trying to denigrate their importance to the team, but surface level off the top of my head of instant money they created. So to Liam's point, the cap is the myth. You can make money if you want to, and I don't think the Jets are going to have any problem with that.
And not only that, too, I love Carl Lawson as well. But this is also the most expensive defensive line in all of the NFL also. So, and like you said, we do have an abundance of riches at the edge position, something that we haven't had in a very long time. But like you said, though, I like Carl Lawson, but, we do have younger players there. Let them develop. It's going to cost them nothing for the next couple of years. I think that's a move that you have to make. I like Carl Lawson, but I mean, like you said, if we can't extend him, I don't even think that's really necessary. It's just like with Jermaine Johnson, with Clemens, with Huff. I think that's plenty, to be completely honest with you.
Okay, I appreciate the honesty, Liam. There you go. Booyah. Dropping honesty bombs. That's nice. It's good to have honesty back in this world. Not enough of it.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, facts. But Boy Green, we appreciate you being on the show. I know you got to go to your next show. Where can they find you real quick?
Well, I mean, branding, baby. It's easy peasy lemon squeezy. It is at Boy Green 25, BOY Green the color. 25 was the jersey number back in high school for those curious. And yeah, it's everywhere. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Although the thing we've been pushing on top of the Twitter, which by the way, shout out to all you Crazy Jet fans. We reached over the 10,000 follower mark. What was it, a couple weeks ago? We're at 10.2 thousand, which by the way, every time I look at that, that's crazy. I never got into it for the followers. So the fact that the followers just kind of came organically is so cool. So shout out to those guys. So if you guys are on Twitter, go ahead and hit me up there at BoyGreen25. And of course, YouTube, just right with you guys, is youtube.com/BoyGreen25. Insider interviews. We're going to have a few of the Jets players on coming up over the next couple of weeks. Some insiders, as we had on both today and tomorrow, diving into QB speculation and free agency and trade and draft and all kinds of crazy crap. So, guys, feel free if you want some juice, want some energy, want some insight, some laughs perhaps, all that is available at your fingertips.
Love it. Love it.
I love it, man. Congratulations on that, too. 10,000, that's huge, man.
Yeah, it's groovy, baby. It's kind of wild, but yeah, man, it's amazing, and it's really cool. And there you go, GVH. Looking forward to those interviews. Yes, the Packers one is already up. That one, like I said, went live at 5:00, but it's available for you guys to replay in my live section on my YouTube channel. And then we have the Titans one. I believe that's posting at 8:30 tomorrow morning. That is Mike Herndon. So you guys can learn more about Keith Carter, Breece Hall breaking out, and Corey Davis trade. We had a lot of really fun stuff in there. So that's coming out tomorrow as well.
Boy Green.
Awesome, I'm going to be checking all that out too.
Awesome,
beautiful,
man.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, brothers. Appreciate
you guys. This has been a great interview with Boy Green. We'll definitely have you back on definitely sometime soon. But you can follow everything NYJ on these social media platforms. And also you can follow me, Italy Jet, on these social media platforms as well. You can follow Liam if you want on these social media platforms.
Oh, nice.
Also as well.
I don't get a cool cartoon. I don't get a cartoon.
He didn't want one. But hey, we're going to upgrade that in a bit though. But Boy Green, thank you so much. Guys, we'll be back next week. We do interviews once a week, but as things start to kick off with draft, OTAs, free agency, we'll be back more. Boy Green, appreciate you. Liam, I'll see you next time. Guys, this is Everything NYJ. You guys have a great night.